Hello and welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here, doing my personal complete arrow build for my arrows for tack. This is the process I go through on all my own personal stuff, so this video is probably going to be a little longer than ideal, I would imagine, but I'm going to cover everything from start to finish, other than the fact that I already cut my arrows down. So for this build, I'm going to use an RIP Extreme Velocity Elite 350. Right there, I want really light, really fast, really flat shooting. And so stage one here is I'm going to ASD both ends of these arrows, knock end and point end. Actually, I'm righty, so I'm going to do this way. If you've got a decent saw, you shouldn't have to square this very much. One little roll over it's probably enough. If you have a decent saw and you cut them slowly. When you cut an arrow really fast is where you typically get your jagged edges on the end of them that really require a lot of squaring. And I usually take my time when I'm cutting arrows, so shouldn't have an issue with that. But to be safe, I'm going to make sure the ends are square before I glue in knock adapters or points. This isn't exactly exciting by any means, but it's very necessary. If you're a home builder and you're building your own arrows and you don't do this, you're skipping a very valuable step. If that knock or that insert aren't perfectly straight on the edges of these, your arrows will not fly the same at all. You'll get variances between one or another, and you may have bought the best arrow on the planet, the best arrow money can buy, the straightest thing you can possibly get, and still run into a chaotic problem just because of how they were cut. So make sure your ends are square. I took the stock nocks out of these arrows, and I'm going to use a knock bushing because I am going to shoot these at targets, and basically I won't break nearly as many arrows from people hitting the back end of my arrow. So for that purpose, I'm going to use their little G-knock bushing. You can see that there. Right there. Not quite focused. No, it wants to focus on me. How do I do it like this, maybe? There you go. It's just a small aluminum bushing. And all that does is make it harder to break the end of your arrow. It's also a very good square alignment, which is great. And then when you break a knock, you typically won't crack the end of your arrow, which is where you run into the failures more than anything. It's kind of like a collar for the back of your arrow instead of the front of your arrow, but it doesn't really add weight. If you weigh out a small knock like that and that, they're within 2 grains, and you don't have to change your arrow length to use it. So I typically recommend that if they're going to be target arrows. Hunting arrows, you usually don't have to worry about hitting cracking the back end of your arrow with another arrow, because you're usually not shooting multiple arrows into the same dot over and over and over. Alright, so that's our ASD flip. Those are on the website. Just so you know, we probably sell 3 or 4 of these a day. Great little tool. Lots of positive responses and reviews from it, and now we don't need it anymore. Whenever I sand something, I tend to tap it just to let the loose dust come off. Now we're going to go ahead and lay out our bushings. Count out 12 of those. These are a Victory knock adapter, but there's a lot of these that'll fit in a lot of different arrows. So if you like somebody else's shape, dimension, whatever, it's totally fine as long as you have the 204 internal diameter. Will line up, and that's one of the great things about 204 and 166 really, is just about everybody runs the same internal universally, so you can use other people's components. So maybe you don't care for the one Victory makes, but maybe you like the one Gold Tip makes, or vice versa. Or Black Eagle, or Easton, whoever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 more. You can use anybody's stuff. So that's kind of the neat part. This is Bob Smith Industries CA glue. This is you'll find this in hobby stores a lot. We do sell this on the website, but it's about half the price of most of the other glues that are arrow related, and it appears to be about the same thing from everything we've tested. So most of my stuff, I just use that to save money. And I just pour out a good amount on them. and then one at a time. Put it in, wipe it off. Now, when you're using CAs like this, you got to act quick. You can't put it on and then spin it around and look at it and whatnot. You got to shove it in. It's a friction-based adhesive. It's going to dry, and it's going to dry really fast. So line it up close, cram it in. If you wait too long, you're going to get an adapter, insert, point, what have you, that's going to go down about halfway and stop, and then you're stuck. So don't hang on too long. Come on. Sometimes they don't quite want to line up, and then there they go. This stuff dries in 10 to 30 seconds once it gets contact. So by the time I get done with the last one, the first one's good to go, and I can put Knox in them. So I can put it in a receiver. Go. And don't be stingy with your paper towels. When you use it for one task, throw it away and grab another one. Don't try to reuse your sheet and you get glue all over everything, and it's just a waste. Seems like a simple thing, but definitely helps. So I'm going to put my Knox in here. And this is an Easton knock tool, but if you have a bowstring available to you, that'll work just fine too. It's just to turn it in and get it down. So when you start, you push in and then twist, twist, twist until it gets all the way down. We're still not there. It's another thing about these Knox, they fit really tight. It's a better fit than you're just sliding right into the carbon. It's just a much snugger deal. And when you get it set, you're going to want to index these. There is a slight bump on one side that you can feel that you can't feel on the other. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but there's a little bump on one side. That should be your index that aligns with your spine alignment. So I'm going to turn that to where all the Victory's arrows are spine aligned, which is the weak spot in the arrow. Head over to elkshape.com and watch the video we did on matching arrows and measuring all that stuff. But if you see it, there's a word on here. It says spine aligned. Right there. That's where your cock feather needs to go, and that is the weakest spot of the arrow. And if you flex them all the same direction, they'll bend the same way as they come out of the bow, and it'll be more consistent. All right. Oh, dang it. Just screwed one up. My dentist would throw a fit if he saw that. So, yeah, you got to be careful putting those in. They don't... Like I said, that stuff dries really fast. I'm going to need an extra one of those. Okay, all the way in. Find the index. Hey, Forrest, yes, can you round me up another yellow knock? I dicked one up. Yeah. Thanks. Still not in all the way. There you go. Find your index. Hands getting sweaty. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hang on a sec. One more. Okay. Now that they're all inserted and ready to go, let's take a look at them, make sure I didn't miss one and didn't go on. All right, we're good there. So now we're going to fletch them. Now, that spine line is where you want to put your cock feather, so we're going to look at the receiver in here and load it and make sure it lines up with that and turn it if necessary. So we need to turn that receiver in here. Come on. There you go. Yeah, these true helical jigs, they'll just rotate around, and then once you get it, the cock feather lined up with the spine line, as long as you load it the same every time, it should all line up and you can run through and fletch them all. Got my little box here to let them dry in. I'm going to use the SK2 Silent Night from Flex Fletch. These weigh 4.6 grains a piece, so they're relatively light, but they're a tall profile vane, so you're not putting a whole bunch of weight on the back of your arrow, which y'all know how much of a fan I am of weight on the back of your arrow. And I like to shoot all the same color because it's really easy to see them. And then I just number my cock feather when I go like 1 through 12. I'll just write on the side of it with a black Sharpie because I am a fan of the Sharpies. Set that down there. Now, these don't require any primer or nothing, they say, so we'll see. We've done a few of them and had good luck, so I'm going to imagine we're going to run on the same results. We should have this already indexed. Lines up. There we go. Pull it down. Slide this over the top. And let it sit for a minute. I'm going to go grab another one to make this a little faster. Be right back. So if you're impatient and don't want to wait the minute or so, maybe two, that you should probably let that sit. You can use 2 fletching jigs. There you go. When we use these for fletching customers' arrows, we always use 2. While that one's drying, you can do up another one. It takes about half as long. You can do this with the arrow in or out. It's a little easier with it out, but it's entirely up to you. Hey Forrest, we got any Q-tips?
They should be above the bale up there.
Above where?
Like the shooting bale is where I last saw them.
Got it. Pull on it. Pops it down, locks it down tight. Push it on. Set it down. Q-tips. Very good item to have for cleaning up glue. You'll most likely have some excess glue in certain spots. And if you wipe it off before it dries, you typically don't get that white funky looking residue. And I see a little there. Yeah, a little there. And that is some gloriously big helical on a small vein. Pretty cool. All right, that can be arrow number 1 for us today. There we go. Get another one going. Now, another great thing about these jigs, which we do also sell these on the website too, it's just called a true helical jig in right or left. When you're done with it, get yourself a mason jar and fill it full of acetone, and just drop it in the acetone for about 20 minutes. And any glue that you spilled on it will be gone. Put the lid back on and leave it in your jar, and that's your fletching jig cleaner. Use that all the time in here. All right. Knocked in the receiver. Let this close slowly. Don't let it close fast. A lot of times it'll make a vein move, or they won't quite line up right, and you get a little misalignment internally, and you got to refletch the arrow. So, all right, number 2. Nice. Wipe that off. That one came out a little cleaner. Always a little bit of glue somewhere. Number 2.
Super easy to swap out just like that.
Yeah, man. And you want okay. Yeah. Nope. Yeah. For sure. Hey, it's all good, man. It is what it is. So.
Yeah.
Not a problem at all. If you need anything else, just
Almost done. So something you can do, which I really recommend after you fletch them, you can go back with a slow setting glue, like Fletch Type Platinum or Saunders NPV or Flex Bond, and put a little dab on the end of each one, and it creates a little bit more of a smooth transition, so it's harder to rip a vein off. It'll last a little longer that way. You nick something just right, it'll peel it right off. So that's something that'll help. And when I'm done, I'll go back and do it, but probably don't need to do that part on video. Almost put that one in backwards. Can't have that. So something that really makes a big difference at distance in arrows. Actually, I'll wait till I start the next thing to talk about that. Who knows, we'll probably cut this part out and skip it so it's not so boring and long. Nothing really exciting going on here other than the same thing over and over. Last one. It falls open on me. Alright. Now that's done. Here's the picky part. It really gets these things consistent. I'm going to go dunk these Fletch and Jigs in acetone, and I'll be right back to cover how to make them perfect. Alright, now we're done with all that. We're going to need our Pro Grain Scale. Everybody's making their own arrows should have one of these so you can figure out the differences between your arrows and plan accordingly if you're going to build them. The beauty of this double A's, triple A's. Little arrow holder. Very nice. Okay. Get rid of my trash here. I want to say these are like 45 bucks on the website. They're not expensive. So we're going to go through and match and mark all our arrows. So let's see what we got here. Make sure it's not touching anything else. Oh, we're in grains. Hang on. Ounces, TI, DW, GN. Alright, so our raw shaft arrow number 1 is 207.7. So that's arrow number 1. And cock feathers right there. So we're going to put number 1. And number 1. Okay. Arrow number 2, we'll write 2 on it. Wants a 0. Arrow number 2 is 207.6. So before we put a point in it, I'm going to do this with all of them. Number 3. Number 3. Weigh it. Make sure that you're not touching anything. Ooh, 207.1, got a light one. 207.1. And good number 4. 207.4. This is very tedious. It's not all that fun, but if you want to make perfect arrows, it's the best way to go. 5. 5. And if you have the stuff, it takes a little longer, but you'd be amazed how accurate you can be. 207.6. Now mind you, these are all weight matched arrows. Once again, on your Victory, when you buy a dozen arrows in a bundle, they are weight matched in that bundle. So all 12 arrows are going to be within a grain anyway. So 0 number 6. 0 number 6. 208, got a heavy one. 7. .4. Hey, Forrest? Forrest? Sounds like a semi. Nolan?
Sorry, what?
Where's Forrest?
I don't know. You going?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. What do you got for him today?
I got 2 pallets of targets.
Brand.
365.
Okay.
You got the theater.
I do have a lift kit if you guys want me to use it.
Well, we're trying to find the other guy. We're making a video upstairs. He can run the forklift.
Okay.
It's faster, but you gotta wait for him to show up wherever he is. Is he faster?
Oh, it's down here.
You ran the forklift?
Yeah.
Alright, be right there.
Alright, sounds good.
I'll get the keys in. Okay, it's right there.
Oh, shit.
Sorry about that. 8. Another great thing about numbering your arrows is when you get one that flies weird, you can actually keep track of it and make sure that it's not you, that it's actually the one arrow. So 207.3. Nine. 207.6. 207.7. Arrow number 9. Just helps you keep track of stuff going forward. 10. Well, 7.7, 10, 12. $207.7, number 11. Number 12. 207. Oh, 208. 208.0.
Hey, I'm buying a Target, but I was just gonna see if you could check an account with my daughter's account. And I also love that.
Okay. So now that we've got that, and our arrows are all less than a grain total from the heaviest to the lightest, it seems like there's only 3 that are above 0.5 or higher. So 3 of them are within half a grain, which is pretty damn impressive for a dozen arrows. It's out of a standard pack. So now I'm going to figure out how much tip weight I really want. Weigh these out. Green again. I got to zero that out. Sorry.
I don't know what's going on. More than they all have.
150. So these are heavier than I want. So I'm going to run downstairs to the cutoff saw and chop a dozen of these off. And then I'll show you how to match them up correctly with the right arrow to make your perfect arrows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is an RIP 150 grain 100 break off, just in case you're curious what we're using here. Right back. All right. So now I'm gonna try to sort these from heaviest to lightest. Now that I've cut them off to 120. Oop. Ah. 119.8. $119.8.
Okay,
120.
so my buddy is one
Wait.
to pick up.
One?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the big five.
120.4. $19.9. Now, you might be looking at this going, this is crazy. What's he doing? Say, well, if you start shooting 80, 90, 100 yards, tenths of a grain matter in your drop. And it's only going to take you another, 20 minutes to 40 minutes to build them this way. So why not take the time and make them perfect? Or as close to perfect as can occur. 119.9. $120.1. $120.1. It's incredibly accurate. Just cut them off like that.
Oh, we're going to the mall after this. Yeah, you know how to do.
120.1.
Well, we ain't making that. These things are.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we have 114.
120.3. And 119.9. All right, so we only have about 0.4, only got about a half a grain variance from the lightest to the heaviest. So, no, don't go back. That was not smart on my part. Don't move your sheet once you started writing them down. That's just a problem waiting to happen. Damn it, hold still.
I got an elite and list.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab the lightest point first, which looks like it's a 119.8. Put that in the heaviest arrow, which is arrow number 12. Then mark it off. 19.8. Arrow number 6. Same weight. Once I get these all set, I'll go back and glue them all in, and they should be good to go. But that's how I weight match my arrows. So and then I have a bunch of 207.7s is the next closest thing. So I got a 119.9, 207.7, arrow number 1's 207.7. And then if one of these ends up being a tiny bit light, I will probably simply try to put a little bit extra glue in it when I insert it to try to compensate for that. 207.7, number 9, 10, and 11. So all of these. 207.7, 119.9, 207.7, 119.9. It's an amazing when I actually write this down and do this, how many of them I find are exact tenths matches without actually having to grind anything extra. If you just weigh them all out. 119.9. All right, so now that should still be there. Stop moving. Things like to roll are kind of a pain in the butt. Okay, so all the 119.9s are gone. Dink, 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 ironically. All right, so next one is the number 2's 2076. And the next closest one in weight is a 201 or 120.1. All right, we got like 3 more 201.1s. That was our number 2. So 2076 is a 5. 201.1.
And like, I want to go get a new site. I want to do this.
Number 7. 2075. 201.1. Two 073, number 8, 2011.
I know how it's at right now, but I could probably order it.
Okay.
I'm not sure how far out they are though. I'll see.
Yeah.
Did he put in our system?
And that one. Now, when these are all said and done and glued together, I should have no more than 2/10 variance from arrow to arrow, and almost all these are going to be exactly the same weight. And that is the beauty of doing it this way, where you can match everything up like that and glue it together. And there's going to be like 2 that are about 2/10 light, and when I insert them, I'll add a little extra glue and hopefully make up that 2/10 to make a perfect 12 arrows. These are what I'm going to use at tack, and that's what I'm going to attempt to do to have 120-yard accuracy. It takes a lot to do that, so you have to take your time. And I know this is a long video and it's pretty boring, but that's how I go through and match. And I do the same thing with broad-headed arrows. I screw the inserts and the broadheads together. I'll weigh out the inserts. I'll weigh out the broadheads. Try to match them as close to each other as possible to make it to where all your arrows end up weighing exactly the same. It doesn't take a lot of equipment to do this. You know, you got a grain scale. You got let's see. You got a grain scale. You got a fletching jig. You got an arrow squaring device and glue and vanes and nocks. I mean points. Doesn't take that much. You could use a Dremel if you didn't have a saw to try to cut down your points and make them weigh the same. And you could also grind them down a little if you end up with a little more variance. But most of the time when I cut them off, there's no more than 3/10. So it's pretty accurate, pretty consistent. Give it a try. If you have questions, comment down below. Let me know what you're looking for. Or if I didn't cover something or you have more questions about it, other video ideas as well, head on over to podiumarcher.com. Maybe buy some of these tools. That's what they're there for you to learn. Let you do yourself. So head on over to Instagram, subscribe over there, follow along over there. More than anything, guys, thanks for checking us out. Appreciate you watching. Sorry this video took so long.